Today we are going to start our paper mache crayon sculpture, but we have to start with the inside, the armature part. So this is going to be the inside, and everything that we add will be outside the paper mache in the paint color. So we're going to start with the tip of the crayon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lightly bend one corner and start to roll it. So as I'm rolling with this right hand, and my right hand's going to actually kind of go inside, and my left hand is really focusing on this top part and keeping this into a nice point. I am rolling this whole thing towards the straight edge. If it lets go, no biggie. The cool thing is it's already kind of started, so I'm making sure it's rolling and watching that point. I don't want to bend and fold it. I'm just rolling, watching that point, and rolling towards that straight edge. I am worried about the point. I'm not worried about what this bottom edge is looking like. It's looking like a little party hat, right? So I went ahead and I already have some tape pieces cut. I'm going to use about 2 on that rolled edge. And now at the bottom, I'm going to trim this so it's pretty flat. So I'm going to use my scissors. I'm going to start with that long edge. This is the part that's sticking out the most. And I'm going to cut to try to get this pretty flat all the way around, giving it a little haircut. Now it's pretty even. When I put it up, it stands pretty nice and tall. At this point, I'm going to put about 4 little cuts, little, like as long as my fingernail, so that I can tape this around the paper towel tube. So the paper towel is going to kind of fit in there, and those little cuts kind of help me squeeze that around the paper towel tube. I still have some tape left. I'm going to need about 4 or 5 pieces around the bottom of this tube and where the tip of the crayon meets. So it's kind of scrunched a little bit. That's going to happen. We'll smooth that out with paper mache. As I'm taping, I'm really pushing down and rubbing those pieces together. I'm going to put one more piece of tape right there, and I have a little flap right here, tiny little piece right there. So I started by ripping about 7 pieces of tape, and I had them lined up to help me. I used just a few more than that. At the other end of our crayon, we need to just put a little bit of tape to kind of get that in the camera good, to cover up that hole. So I'm going to put probably 3 pieces, and on those edges it's sticky tape, so I can just roll them and smooth them down. And I'm going to put my 3rd one where that last hole is. So this is like the skeleton of our crayon. That's the first step. Step 2 is the paper mache part. So at your tables, you're going to get a tray of paper mache and newspaper strips. So I'm going to carefully take the foil off the top. This is the same type of paper mache we've used in the past. I dip my fingers in there and I rub them together, and I smooth it on both sides of this newspaper. If we would dip the newspaper in there, they usually fall apart. So it's fairly wet. My goal is to cover this whole skeleton with pieces of newspaper that are wet with paper mache. And as I'm laying them down, I am really making sure I am smoothing them out. If you just crinkle them and let them stick up like that, it's going to be really hard to paint your project. So the entire crayon sculpture is getting covered with this paper mache and newspaper. So I am not going to finish this one entirely, but you can see that I am starting to overlap them. Your newspapers can go in different directions as long as the entire crayon is covered. When you get to the end where we had to put those pieces of tape, you might have to wrap it and smooth it. Really important that it's smooth. I'm kind of afraid that these are going to come up, so my next one is going to wrap around the opposite direction to kind of smooth those edges. Looks like I still need some more. So when you have your entire crayon covered with this newspaper, we're actually going to shift to paper towel pieces. So if you can pretend that this whole thing all the way to the tip is newspaper, our next layer is going to be with paper towel pieces. These will be passed out in a basket. These are a little trickier because paper towel is thinner than newspaper. So I am right now making sure each side looks wet, that it looks like it has paper mache all over it. I'm also trying to keep it flat. We're going to cover our entire crayon armature with these paper towel pieces. Some of you are probably wondering why we're doing this. Well, if we would try to paint our crayon over that newspaper, chances are we would see the words of the newspaper through our paint. This paper towel actually dries and we can't see the newspaper under it. So this is a dried paper mache armature ready for paint. And you can tell the difference. Right now, this paper mache is so wet, we see all the words. When it dries, it will paint awesome. Any color will cover up that paper towel color. So I'm finishing up putting all the paper towel all over this. When I'm done, this is going to get carried to the back counter. And you need to find the piece of tape with your name on it. You're going to set this on the back counter and make sure your tiny piece of tape with your name on it is right next to it so that we know whose is whose next week when we're ready to paint.